Yesterday, we showed you information concerning Austin Metcalf's background that the jury that convicted Karmelo Anthony never heard. And my comment section went bananas. So today, we're going to do the exact same thing for Karmelo Anthony. Because if we're going to put this case on the scale, we don't get to put evidence concerning one young man's background on one side and ignore what's sitting on the other. And after day 2 of Anthony's hearings for the new trial, we now have a much clearer picture of what prosecutors say they had on Karmelo Anthony and what they agreed not to show the jury. Anthony has already been convicted for murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf and sentenced 35 years in prison. This hearing is about whether he should receive a new trial. And right in the middle of that fight is something we've been hearing a lot about over the last 2 days, a so-called gentleman's agreement. Before the original trial, prosecutors and defense attorneys agreed to largely keep damaging character evidence concerning both teenagers away from the jury and focus on the case of what happened underneath that tent at the track meet.
People lining up as early as 5 a.m. this morning. There are limited seats to watch this hearing in person, so that is why people have been lining up to get these spots. The same rules that applied during the trial apply today. No cameras, no audio, not even phones for the general public, along with limited media seats. Prosecutors presented claims about Anthony's interest in violence, guns, and knives, while the defense disclosed allegations of racist and violent behavior involving Metcalf and his twin brother. That deal ultimately collapsed, which the defense has argued cost Karmelo Anthony his chance to take the stand. An attorney not associated with the case weighed in on this.
I think that was a win for both sides, and just try it on the facts of what happened that day.
Legal experts say those arguments may be tough to sell to the new judge presiding over these hearings after the first one, who oversaw that original trial, was recused this week.
Last I checked, Karmelo did have a public trial. Fine, it wasn't tried in Grand Central Station, I get it. But you have a small courtroom with limited seating. That's the trial you get. Obviously, the burden is on the defense to show that there were such constitutional violations that can only be remedied by having a new trial.
Today, the judge is expected to hear from Toby Shook, another one of Anthony's original defense attorneys, as he'll take the stand to testify this morning. Judge Michael Chitty will have until Monday, that's the deadline, to decide whether Anthony's conviction stands or whether he will get another trial.
During the hearing, prosecutors revealed allegations from Anthony's former girlfriend that she had complained to school officials on the very morning of the stabbing that Anthony was stalking her and would not accept the end of their relationships. Prosecutors also presented cell phone evidence that they say included messaging involving knives, guns, fighting, and violence. And one piece stands out because of the timing. According to testimony and reporting from that hearing, Anthony alleged sent his former girlfriend a photograph of a knife that morning, along with a message saying he was low-key on the verge. Hours later, Austin Metcalf was dead from a stab wound. These two teenagers reportedly did not know each other before their encounter at the track meet. Prosecutors also brought forward school disciplinary records involving Anthony. Those reports reportedly stretched back years and included incidents involving classroom disruptions, disobedience, and altercations with other students. And again, the jury didn't hear that either. So now look at what was sitting on the opposite side of this courtroom. The defense has information concerning Austin's alleged history of fighting, bullying, and racial charged behavior. The prosecution had information concerning Karmelo Anthony's disciplinary history, allegations from his former girlfriend, and material covered from his cell phone involving violence, fightings, and weapons. And the jury heard neither side of it. Why? Because the lawyer had agreed to keep the trial focused primarily on what happened underneath that tent. But here's where the argument becomes more than an interesting footnote. Karmelo Anthony's original defense attorney say they expected him to testify. That matters because Anthony claimed self-defense. His testimony could have allowed him to personally tell the jury what he saw, what he believed was happening, and why he responded the way he did. But according to testimony at this hearing, a dispute developed over what would happen if Anthony took the witness stand. Would prosecutors still honor that agreement? Or could Anthony's testimony open the door and allow prosecutors to bring all these materials before the jury? His former attorney testified that Anthony's ultimately decided not to testify amid concerns that prosecutors could find a way to open that door. Now we have reached the real issue. This isn't simply a story about Austin Metcalf's background. It isn't a story about Carmelo Anthony's either. It's about an unwritten agreement between prosecutors and defense attorneys that helped determine what the jury was allowed to know about both of them. And now Carmelo Anthony's new attorneys are asking whether that agreement affected something much more fundamental, his ability to fully present his defense. That's why this hearing mattered. The jury has already spoken. Carmelo Anthony was convicted. He was sentenced to 35 years. Now, another judge has to determine whether what happened behind the scenes of that first trial warrants giving him another one. Yesterday, we opened Austin Metcalf's file. Today, we open Carmelo Anthony's. And when you put them side by side, the question becomes much larger than either young man's background. Did this gentleman's agreement help keep the trial fair, or did it help create the very problem that could now get Carmelo Anthony a new trial? This is Lamar King Sr., investigative analyst, new media, where the truth will never be silenced. Be great today. Peace.